You're not going to believe this, but Canada just pulled off one of the boldest, most strategic trade moves in modern history. A $214 billion deal that has blindsided Washington, shocked economists, and possibly flipped the global trade order on its head. This wasn't some late-night policy tweet, or a vague summit handshake. No, this was a calculated, long-game power play. And the craziest part? The US wasn't even in the room. What does this mean for America's influence in global trade? Could this be the beginning of a new era where Canada, not the US, sits at the center of global supply chains? And more importantly, has the US been outmaneuvered by its quiet northern neighbor while it was too busy watching China? Stick around, because this story gets deeper, more disruptive, and way more game-changing than you think. Let's rewind for a second so we can fully understand how massive this is. For decades, the United States was the undisputed heavyweight champion of international trade. First pick, calling the shots, setting the terms. From Mexico and China to Germany and Japan, countries lined up to do business with America. In 2023 alone, the US traded over $1.8 trillion with just its top 5 partners. That's not economic influence, that's domination. But something's been shifting in the shadows. While the US was distracted, dealing with internal political chaos, stalling trade deals, launching tariffs, Canada was making moves. Quiet ones. Strategic ones. And now, with this $214 billion pan-Atlantic trade compact signed, sealed, and activated, the quiet neighbor just became a global power player. So what exactly happened? Canada inked a trade deal so massive and so forward-thinking that it includes Germany, Brazil, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, South Africa, and more on the way. We are not talking about some basic export agreement here. We are talking zero tariffs on clean energy tech, aerospace parts, rare earth minerals, pharmaceuticals, AI software, and even agriculture. This isn't just a deal. It's a 20-year blueprint for global trade dominance. And let me repeat, America was not invited. Not consulted. Not even mentioned. Now let's break this down because the implications are enormous. Germany, a longtime ally of the US, especially in cars and advanced manufacturing, is now shifting its supply chain links to Canada. Why? Because they are sick of US tariff threats and political volatility. Canada offered cleaner energy deals, access to key materials, and fewer political strings. That's hard to say no to. Then there's Japan, which has historically leaned on the US for tech development and semiconductor cooperation. But with this Canadian deal, they are getting better IP protections, faster investment processes, and AI collaboration, with fewer headaches. Brazil? They are in for agriculture and energy alignment. South Korea? They are eyeing digital infrastructure and battery supply chains. Vietnam? They want to scale fast and quietly without being caught up in US-China drama. And South Africa sees a new global opportunity without the weight of Western politics. And here's the thing, this isn't a one-time headline. It's a structural shift. This trade compact is expandable. That means more countries, including those that used to depend on the US, can join over time. Think Scandinavian nations, Australia, parts of the Middle East. The $214 billion figure. That's just the beginning. So let's ask the obvious question. Why are countries ditching the US for Canada? First, instability. The US trade policy over the last few years has been a roller coaster. One administration signs a deal, the next tears it up. It's exhausting for countries that want long-term predictability. Meanwhile, Canada has been quietly stable. Not perfect, but consistent enough to give other nations confidence that they won't wake up one day to a revoked agreement. Second, resources. Canada is sitting on a goldmine of rare earth elements, lithium, nickel, cobalt, all the ingredients needed to power electric vehicles, satellites, semiconductors, and AI. While the US was still tangled up in supply chain issues with China, Canada offered clean, ethical sourcing. That's a huge trust win. Third, immigration and innovation. Canada has been pouring investment into high-skill immigration, AI development, and green tech infrastructure. They've built a future-ready economy while others were trying to protect what they had. That signaled to partners that Canada's not just a safe bet, it's a smart one. Here's something most people missed. the World Economic Forum ranked Canada in the top 5 globally for economic openness and trust in trade as of 2024. That's not PR fluff. That's hard data. While America was turning inward, Canada opened its doors wider, and the world stepped in. So what does this mean for the United States? Short version, it's a massive wake-up call. Countries redirecting trade to Canada means the US doesn't just lose influence, it loses real money. If Canada becomes the preferred supplier of soybeans, beef, lithium, semiconductors, and clean tech, that's billions in lost revenue for US exporters, manufacturers, and farmers. States like Iowa, Nebraska, and Michigan, they'll feel it first. In the tech sector, it's even worse. If Japan and South Korea now look to Canadian firms for AI, semiconductors, and digital infrastructure, American firms lose their edge. That's fewer contracts, less leverage, and less innovation capital. And with it, fewer jobs. Politically, this deal sends a brutal message. If your closest allies are willing to build multi-decade trade pacts without you, they are saying, we can no longer count on you. It's subtle, but it's real. This is soft power erosion in real time. And here's where it really stings. These deals are not designed to be renegotiated every election cycle. They are locked in for decades. By the time the US tries to get those relationships back, it may be too late. Now, let's look at the other side. For Canada, this is monumental. That $214 billion deal gives them global leverage they've never had. Suddenly, Canada isn't just the polite country north of the border. It's the linchpin in the next generation of global trade. Economically, early projections say this deal could bump Canada's GDP by 2.4% over the next 3 years. That's a monster boost. And the benefits are spread across every major sector: tech, energy, agriculture, pharmaceuticals. This is the kind of deal that doesn't just benefit corporations, it uplifts an entire workforce. Geopolitically, this puts Canada in the driver's seat. If you control essential resources and offer long-term stability, guess what? You get invited to every major trade table. You get to set standards. You get to shape climate policy, data privacy rules, and digital frameworks. That's power, and Canada just earned it. And here's what makes this all the more remarkable: this wasn't a fluke. It wasn't luck. This was the result of long-term planning, strategic diplomacy, and investing in the right industries at the right time. Canada saw the chaos in US trade policy and stepped up with solutions, not rhetoric. So now, the big question is, what happens next? Well, the US is already reacting. There's chatter about revisiting NAFTA 2.0, reigniting trade talks with the EU, and launching new incentives to lure old partners back. But the challenge? Canada is already locking in its next round of partnerships. They are ahead in the race, and they are not slowing down. If this trend continues, we could see the formation of a new type of trade bloc, not based on who's the biggest economy, but on who offers the most trust, predictability, and future-proof policy. If that's where things are headed, Canada might be one of the architects. And for all of us, it means the global marketplace is changing. Where your phone is made, where your EV battery comes from, where your groceries originate, it could all shift based on new trade flows. This isn't just a government-level story. It's a people-level story. It will affect prices, jobs, and innovation worldwide. So, was this a one-time power move by Canada? Or is it the start of a global trade realignment that pushes the US off center stage? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this isn't just economics. It's the future of global leadership. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, hit that like button. Subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest geopolitical moves reshaping our world. And don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss what's next. The global chessboard just got a new player, and they are making bold moves.